is there a way of measuring which courses, professors, or fields of studies actually model intellectual debate versus advocacy? Because the reason why I'm asking is that then the people on the grievance study side or the extreme radical left side might say, well, it's all social pressure. Everybody is social, even in the sciences, there's social pressure to not speak up. So you're saying that we're playing an ideological game, but you are as well in the sciences.
Well, certainly, I say that what I call liberal study, this is the intellectual engagement. Well, I mean, that's an ideology. I mean, it's something one would value. And I want universities to be places where that's what is valued, intellectual engagement. Other people don't. That's fine. But a university, I think, should be a place of intellectual engagement.
So getting back to the question of measurement, is there a way of measuring which fields or professors or courses do not subscribe to this or subscribe to it on a spectrum?
Yeah, I can't imagine a measurement, a metric, but I do think there are hints, pieces of evidence, and one is to talk with the professors or look at the course descriptions or the mission statements or whatever, and if the mission statements or the professor or whatever says that he or she means to create people who appreciate social justice, who will work for the betterment of some group of people or whatever, then that's evidence that there's going to be an advocacy thrust to the course. If it's something like we will engage intellectually in discussions about the nature of race or the nature of prejudice or whatever, then that's probably a study. That's probably where people are putting theses on the board and investigating their virtues and vices.
Mm. And what would the professor say when you bring up that you're not being intellectually honest or laying out all the arguments or allowing your students to speak in a manner that seems like they're dissonant?
Well, often enough one's ignored, and people are free to ignore criticism. I like to discuss these things at a more general level and not directly at any particular professor, because that gets people's backs up. And again, it might be another way of exerting pressure. But writing and talking generally about teaching, about the mission of the university, the goals of the university, that can incline people to think that to think twice about what they're doing and perhaps try other things. Now, there was a case where I was sitting in a cafe once, and a professor came up to me who I had criticized in print for a course that was teaching how to protest rather than being an intellectual engagement with the phenomenon of protest. And certainly the phenomenon of protest is a perfectly respectable academic subject. Let's go and study it. And even by going and studying it, if you're keen on advocacy for a particular thing, you might learn a trick or two, and that's fine. But the course seemed to be about teaching people how to agitate for some specific ends. And I was writing in a student newspaper how I thought that this was not in the spirit of what I call liberal study, not in the spirit I thought a university should be. So we sat down, we had a discussion. We talked for about 15 minutes. And I admitted that I might have overstated in my article the degree to which this was a how to promote social justice course. But he also thought that perhaps he strayed away from the academic mission a bit. So it was rather a satisfying discussion from my point of view, because we actually talked about an important matter and found something like a middle ground.